Late last week, I had shared a question on Instagram that basically said, why don't Catholics fast straight through Lent, fast on Sundays so that it's the full 40 days, and then the fasting ends on Palm Sunday when Jesus rides into Jerusalem on a donkey, because he clearly ate on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then resuming fasting again as a Catholic on Thursday evening for Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, resuming eating again on Sunday. And the responses were interesting. Some talked about how fasting only occurred on Wednesdays and Fridays during Lent, or on Ash Wednesday, and Fridays, and that anything else was voluntary. And some people were offended by my question, talking about how Sundays are solemnities, that they're feast days, they're mini Easter, so we're not supposed to fast on Sundays. But really, for me, and I talked with my husband about this, we're like, logically, Sundays, Christ was still in the desert. He wasn't able to wander into town to have a sandwich and a warm meal on Sundays. He fasted for 40 days straight. And so I understand the context of choosing to have laity celebrate Sundays and this and that. But when I think about joining Christ in the desert, when I think about preparation to serve him properly, when I think about what it means to be walking alongside Christ in his suffering, to suffer ourselves, to pick up our cross and follow him, I think there is a continuity when it comes to choosing to fast for those days that he too would have been in the desert. Today, St. Thomas Aquinas talked about Christ preparing to wash the apostles' feet. And it talks quite a bit about what I talked about last time when we discussed the washing of feet. I shared that I always wanted to be a waitress, and that one of those things was I always enjoyed anticipating people's needs. I always enjoyed being able to be present and helping people. And I felt like that's what St. Thomas Aquinas really talked about today, that we need to be thinking about what position that we are in when we are serving others. How do we prepare ourselves properly? Are we aware of ways that we might fall short in our serving? Are we properly prepared? Do we have the proper ordeals to need? As a server, we wear an apron with pockets and we carry a little notebook and a pen. I remember my very first serving job, the woman taught me that I should always have 2 pens on me in case one stops working. So things like that, like proper preparation. And then to be prompt. I'm in a group right now on Facebook. It's called Pray Like Mary, Clean Like Martha. And I just love that idea of praying like Mary, but cleaning like Martha, because Martha was going about serving and going, busily and everything else. And then Mary was sitting at his feet. And, Martha gets mad and she's like, why aren't you doing this? And she's like, no, she's doing the right thing. So just being available to do both, I think, is a good balance in what we're called to as serving, and something that Jesus likewise did. St. Thomas Aquinas says that he was not ready to only wash the feet, but also to dry them, because he had put a towel among his waist. And then when he did start washing the feet, that it was this kind of service was the lowest kind of service. The number of services it contained mattered because he put water into a basin, washed their feet, dried them. So there were several steps to the service that he offered. And then the method of doing the service, he didn't do it through others or even with others helping him. He did it himself. And Ecclesiastes 3 verse 20 says, the greater thou art, the more humble thyself in all things. And so when I think about preparing to serve Jesus, when I think about preparing to serve the kingdom of God, Lent can be a really easy time to do fasting, to do extra prayer, to give alms, to do all of these things. And we're preparing our hearts, right? But then so many people walk away from Lent and go straight back to living the way that they were prior to the Lenten observance. This isn't the goal, right? If Jesus had come back the same man that he was prior to the desert, there would be a disconnect. He only had 4 days. We don't know how much time we have, right? So he spent these 40 days preparing to be able to serve others. It took 40 days to prepare his heart to wash the apostles' feet. He had 4 days to execute whatever preparations his heart had made for the salvation of the world. We don't know how much time we have. So we prepare our hearts, and that call to immediately execute the changes that our Lenten observances have made in our hearts is critical. We are to start immediately. We are to, guard ourselves and, what's the word I'm looking for? Stock our bodies, make sure that all of our tools are in our toolbox. We're called to be sure that we're ready, and that we're in more ways than one. We're supposed to ready our minds, prepare our hearts, prepare our spirits, so we can readily and easily serve the kingdom of God wherever we're called. And as I said, that executing that is just so important to do immediately and to not delay. Because, like I said, Christ had 4 days. We don't know how much time we have. We could get in a car accident tomorrow. Was the preparation worth it? Was everything that you've done for the Lenten observant, was it put into practice? Did you utilize it to serve the Lord again in new and exciting ways? How are you, how can we use what we've been called to observe this Lent to prepare ourselves to wash people's feet in a new way? How many steps is that going to take? How lowly and humble do we have to make ourselves? What is it that we need to do now? What is this new thing that Christ is calling us to? If we have now wandered the desert with him, what does he want us to do now? And so I know for myself, I am opening my heart to those truths. I am opening my heart to see what it is that the Lord is asking of me. And I just want to encourage that to you as well, that you would be able to open your heart, open your mind, soften your heart, soften your mind, allow the Lord to leave an impression there for you so that you can know exactly what it is that he's calling you to do to prepare for his service, and then go forward and actually utilize and implement everything that you've learned this Lent. God bless you. Enjoy your Tuesday, and I look forward to chatting with you again tomorrow. God bless.